A little after falling off of the viaduct onto a barge, Diesel 10 was unloaded in a docks on the mainland not that far from Sodor. When he was back on the rails, he was angry. He lost his trusty minions Splatter and Dodge, he lost his chance to prove himself to PT Boomer, and he even lost the magic engine. Diesel 10 tried to figure out a way to get revenge on the steam engines, especially Thomas, who obstructed his efforts to destroy Lady. He later snuck back into Sodor looking to expose weaknesses on the railway. He would pose as a security diesel in the scrapyard, loading scrap on and off of trucks without Sir Topham Hatt's knowledge. Devious Diesel was among the only engines that knew of Diesel 10's whereabouts and promised him that his secret was safe with him. 21 years pass, and no one suspects that Diesel 10 is on Sodor. By then, there were many new engines on Sodor along with the old ones. Still though, Diesel 10 made sure that he kept a low profile in order to not be seen by Thomas or the rest of the older engines, or even Sir Topham Hatt. While on Sodor, he came to a realization about something. He hated steam engines for being outdated, and yet he's 63 years old at this point, making him outdated to an extent. Diesel 10 then began to question his past actions and wondered if maybe what he was doing might have been wrong. As he was picking up scrap in the smelter's yard one day, he was spotted by Percy, who just happened to be dropping off more scrap. Percy wanted to tell Thomas, but after Diesel 10 explained about his past life, how he was treated like trash and how he wanted to change, Percy then felt sorry for him and decided to help him instead. Percy also said that he forgave Diesel 10 for his actions, but if Thomas ever found out about Diesel 10's whereabouts, he wouldn't be as forgiving. That night in the shed, Percy was alone with Edward. The other engines hadn't returned, so Percy used this as an opportunity to tell Edward about Diesel 10 wanting to change. Though he was horrified, Edward felt sorry for Diesel 10 and reluctantly agreed to keep his secret safe. The next morning, it was business as usual for the engines of Sodor. They were just about to leave Tidmouth's sheds when Sir Topham Hatt came to see them. He told the engines that he was retiring and that they would have a new controller by the beginning of the week. Though they were sad by the news, the engines made sure to throw a big party for Sir Topham Hatt on his last day, and they wished him the best of luck. The following Monday, the new controller arrived on Sodor. He said his name was Mr. Mattel and that a lot was about to change on Sodor. He then began to give the engines their jobs for the day, and at first everything was normal. Then it happened. One day, Thomas, Gordon, James, and Percy were at Knapford Station when a large diesel engine that looked like Diesel 10 raced past them. The other engines were startled by this, wondering what just happened. And Thomas was traumatized, for it brought back memories of when Diesel 10 raced past him and Gordon all those years ago. At first they all thought it was Diesel 10, but Percy then pointed out that this diesel was black and red with a shiny red claw. Then the engines put two and two together. There was only one diesel they knew of that was black and red: Diesel 13. The word soon spread, and all the engines panicked. Mr. Mattel had to calm them down and assure them that no engine, steam, diesel, or electric, was going to hurt Sodor. The other engines were relieved, but Percy didn't trust Mr. Mattel. He thought Diesel 13 arriving as soon as Mr. Mattel took over was a little suspicious. He tried to tell the other engines, but they didn't believe him, not even Thomas. Percy then decided to take matters into his own buffers and did a little investigating. While taking a goods train, he overheard Mr. Mattel, who was talking to a strange diesel. At first, he couldn't tell who it was, but then he saw the unmistakable red claw. Percy gasped as he overheard that Mattel wanted to destroy Thomas. Percy rushed back to warn Thomas, who still doesn't believe him. Percy then decides to tell Diesel 10 and goes to the smelter's yard. He finds 10 and explains the situation about Diesel 13 and Mr. Mattel. Diesel 10 was angry when he heard the news and at first refused to help, but Percy then told him that this could be Diesel 10's big chance to redeem himself, which caused him to reluctantly agree. Then he tells Percy to get the engines back to safety while he goes to find his brother. Percy went back to the sheds to warn the other engines and saw that Thomas was missing. Percy then rushed out to look for Thomas, who by then was on his branch line with Annie and Clarabelle. He had just reached Farquhar Station and he was about to return to the sheds when he was stopped by Diesel 13, who ambushed him. He was about to destroy Thomas when Mr. Mattel showed up. At first, Thomas was relieved, but then Mr. Mattel showed his true colors and revealed that he was responsible for Diesel 13's return this whole time. Mr. Mattel then ordered 13 to destroy Thomas once and for all, but then out of nowhere, Percy intervenes and gets derailed. He tells Thomas to run, and that's what Thomas did. Diesel 13 then proceeds to chase after Thomas with Mr. Mattel on board. The two engines raced around the entire island, passing many engines in the process. They eventually find themselves on the same viaduct that Diesel 10 fell off of all those years ago when he was chasing Thomas and Lady. At this point, Thomas had run out of coal and came to a complete stop halfway across. Diesel 13 and Mr. Mattel then closed in on Thomas, and they were just about to throw him off the viaduct when they were stopped by Diesel 10, who then proceeded to fight his brother. Their battle was so fierce that the viaduct below them began to crumble. Mr. Mattel had already jumped clear, and Diesel 10 immediately recognized the man. This whole time, Mr. Mattel was none other than P.T. Boomer, who then ran off into the woods nearby. Then the viaduct began to collapse and Diesel 13 began to fall off. Then he grabbed Thomas, attempting to bring him down with him, but Diesel 10 grabbed Thomas and hung on to him for dear life. The viaduct couldn't support the weight of the three engines dangling, so with quick thinking and a lot of effort, Diesel 10 managed to throw Thomas to safety before the viaduct finally gave way and both Diesels fell into the river below. This time around, there was no barge to save the two Diesels, and they landed in the water, getting electrocuted and killing them. Thomas was in a great state of shock by what just happened. Diesel 10, who was his rival for the longest time, had just sacrificed himself to save him. Soon Edward arrived with the breakdown crane, which took Thomas to the steamworks to be repaired. Sir Topham Hatt soon found out about the incident and rushed back to Sodor to see if his number 1 blue tank engine was alright. Percy was also at the steamworks, and Thomas thanked him for his heroic efforts, but Percy told him that it was Diesel 10 he needed to thank. Then Thomas asked what happened to P.T. Boomer, but Sir Topham Hatt told him not to worry and that Boomer was being dealt with. Meanwhile, P.T. Boomer was heading to Brendam Docks to escape Sodor, where he was caught by the police and arrested for his crimes. A few days later, Thomas and Percy were back in service, and the other engines whistled and cheered for their return. They also held a celebration to pay tribute to Diesel 10 for his heroic efforts. Thomas wishes that he could show the Diesel how thankful he was, but Percy assures him that Diesel 10 already knows. And that was the complete story of Diesel 10. If you found yourself enjoying this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Let me know what other character you want me to do a backstory of in the comment section down below. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next one.